History presents the Kurukshetra War as an inevitable cosmic clash of Dharma and Adharma. We are taught that millions died to satisfy divine fate, but the historical records suggest a much more grounded cause. The destruction of the ancient world didn't begin with a god's decree. It started with one man's inability to manage his own hormones. At its peak, the dynasty at Hastinapur claimed direct descent from the gods, maintaining a global monopoly on the technologies described in the Vedas. This was a technological theocracy that functioned as the world's sole hegemon. King Pandu was the absolute linchpin of this global order. As long as he sat on the throne, the delicate balance between the empire's rival factions remained intact. The collapse of this entire civilization was ultimately a failure of basic biological self-control. One moment of physical impulsivity shattered the foundation of the ancient world. The crisis began with a brutal curse. Any intimate touch driven by desire would kill King Pandu instantly. His own nervous system had become a tripwire for his assassination. Pandu responded by abandoning his throne to live as an ascetic in the forest. He chose personal penance over sovereign duty, committing strategic suicide, leaving the world's most powerful empire without a navigator. This created an immediate power vacuum in Hastinapur. With the throne left to his blind, indecisive brother, the rival Kaurava faction began aggressively clawing their way toward the center of power. Pandu's retreat allowed the empire to be consumed by the very hatreds he was supposed to suppress. His inability to navigate his physical limitations handed the keys of the kingdom to his own worst enemies. A true strategist would have seen this curse differently. Instead of viewing a biological limitation as a death sentence, an emotionally mature leader would have weaponized it. In an alternate scenario, Pandu masters his biological impulses entirely. He recognizes that his enforced celibacy makes him immune to the standard temptations and sexual briberies that normally corrupt a court. He returns to Hastinapur as a living god martyr. By publicly transcending human desire, he gains a level of moral and political authority that no ordinary king could ever claim. Absolute power is built by identifying a personal vulnerability and transforming it into a symbol of unbreakable discipline. To secure the future, Pandu formalizes the tradition of niyoga, or divine insemination, transforming it into a cold, state-mandated breeding program. This allows him to engineer a ruling caste of 5 superhuman heirs, the Pandavas. Because they are products of the state rather than personal passion, they are raised from birth to be perfectly loyal instruments of his will. The resulting power map is impenetrable. Pandu rules from the shadows, while his brother Dhritarashtra is kept in a gilded cage as a figurehead vizier. The elite Pandava units act as a biological shield, blocking any threats to the throne. Under this regime, the Kauravas never organize. Their influence is systematically dismantled by a state always 3 steps ahead, ensuring the Great War never begins. By conquering his own internal chemistry, Pandu creates a disciplined, multi-generational hierarchy capable of sustaining a global empire for centuries. In this timeline, the war that supposedly cleansed the world never happens. The technological and scientific momentum of the Vedic age continues uninterrupted for decades. The complex weapon systems and aerodynamic principles found in the Vimanas Shastra are refined rather than lost. Knowledge remains the empire's primary export. Instead of a global economy built on the extraction of fossil fuels, this civilization develops an energy grid based on wave resonance and metaphysical fields, technologies that were discarded in our world after the war. With 400 years of uninterrupted peace and the perfection of mercury plasma propulsion, the empire reaches the stars. By the 12th century, while our world was in the Crusades, this timeline sees the first successful landings on Mars. This results in a Pax Sperata. Global trade flows through Hastinapur, and even the distant Roman Empire exists only as a minor province paying tribute to the Indian core. The cultural dominance is so absolute that English never develops. The very concepts we use to describe the world today would be rooted in Sanskrit. This unbroken line of disciplined, genetically optimized leaders would have leapfrogged human progress by a millennium, creating a global hegemony that never knew a dark age. but that entire future was incinerated. That utopia was traded away for a single moment where a king let his pulse override strategy. It is a reminder that the only real barrier to world-ending chaos is the internal discipline of those in power. Biology is the ultimate lever. It is either the source of a leader's absolute authority or the precise mechanism of their total destruction. To rule anything, an empire, a family, or a career, you must first master the chemistry in your own veins. If you cannot master yourself, you aren't a leader. You're just another casualty of your own instincts.